There we go. Look. Sizzle and chisel.
This is a Men's Health magazine.
Oh, there's me. Yeah. Happen to be the same photos before.
And this used to be like the gold standard before the internet or Instagram, before fitness influencers existed. It used to be a thing called fitness models, which were basically models that just did fitness content. And the content back then was a magazine. Now, I actually happen to have appeared in over 100 issues of Men's Health magazine and a bunch of other magazines without really that being my intent. And in this video, I'm going to tell you the story about how that happened and how I actually was able to get into so many different issues of Men's Health well beyond the period of time that I was even shooting for them. Like, this continued for a long time. And what it actually taught me about getting in shape, staying in shape, and kind of making being in shape my baseline. So let's go back to the beginning. I used to be in law school. This was in my early 20s. I'm 43 now, so this was like a lifetime ago. But I used to be in law school. I was really miserable because I didn't like doing law. It sucked. I actually really enjoyed law school, but it was the prospect of actually becoming a lawyer and being that. So I was kind of freaking out. I was having a midlife crisis, and I needed to figure out how I was going to pivot and what I was going to do. And long story short, I dropped acid. I had a vision that I was going to become Arnold Schwarzenegger, live in the gym, and become, I don't know, movie star, fitness model, governor, maybe. I didn't know. What I knew was, like, I had to do something different. I was going to bet on myself being able to get in really good shape and use that as a platform for me to do something other than be a lawyer. So my first move, what I realized is if I was going to do this, I needed some pictures. I needed some photos. So I knew the guy who cut my hair, he was named Nick Romanoli. And Nick, hey man, he still hits me up on the gram sometimes. But Nick, gotta give you a big shout out because, you know, those photos that you took of me, Nick was like an amateur photographer. And, you know, he took some photos when I got into really good shape, and we used them to send some photos to booking agents in Pittsburgh, because I was in West Virginia at the time, which didn't have a very happening modeling scene. Because I was in West Virginia at the time, and the modeling scene there was non-existent. There was no fitness modeling at all. I think the only fitness modeling that happened were those photos that me and Nick Romanoli took. So we took these photos. We sent them to Pittsburgh to a booking agent that booked jobs for Dick's Sports and GNC, which were both headquartered in Pittsburgh, which was very convenient. It was only like 45 minutes away. Good news. They were like, hey, come on up. Like, why don't you do some of these like catalog shoots? They were like pamphlets that would go in newspapers and stuff. And this is cool because I was still in law school, but I still didn't know what I was going to do. So I didn't have a plan, but this was like, okay, a prospect. I could actually like maybe do something if these people were willing to talk to me. So I went up to Pittsburgh and they booked me for a couple jobs, and I was in some catalogs and, you know, kind of put on some Nike gear, and, you know, I was in pamphlets for like Dick's Sports and a few labels for GNC. And then I kept, you know, kind of doing that sort of work and some other cool things. Like I got to be kind of a featured extra in this movie Love and Other Drugs, where there's a scene with Jake Gyllenhaal and a bunch of people in this like mansion having a sexy party, I guess. But basically I would get booked for jobs where I needed to take my shirt off, which that was the thing. That was like the goal with the fitness modeling, right? Is like, you know, get hired for the way you look, like be able to create a platform. So cool. I was able to like get some more jobs and some more work. So from there, yeah, like I did some more work, and they would book me for other gigs, and you know, the jobs typically paid like, you know, $700 to like $1,500 for like a day or two. It wasn't anything crazy, but it, you know, it gave me some hope that like maybe there was a career if I could get booked regularly enough. And I learned a lot on these shoots because I learned how to, one, get along with the people on set, get the photographers what they needed really quickly, because I could understand that they were being paid to do a job. The faster that I could deliver them what they needed to just be and do exactly what they needed to get the shot that they needed, and the faster we could get done, the happier the photographer was, the happier the crew was. Everybody felt like that was a successful day if we could get what we needed really quickly, and then everybody could, eat the rest of the craft services food, and we could all get home and count the dozens of dollars that we made. But ultimately, it wasn't really like a good long-term plan, because like there wasn't enough work to really make this a full-time career. But the booking agent that I had, his name was Thomas Watson. He introduced me to a Topher Dupre. He was a fitness modeling agent in New York City. And this guy had tons of work. We're talking New York City before the internet. So like all of the romance novel covers, all of the Men's Health, Men's Fitness, Men's Journal, Men's Shirtless Magazine things, Nike, Under Armour, Reebok, like any other fitness program, like all the Beachbody DVDs, the P90X, the Insanity DVDs. All these jobs were, one, they were required all the time. There were a bunch of other models like all doing this work. I think there was 25 of them that like Topher represented, and they were all like working consistently in like movies and TV shows and all this stuff. So introduced me to Topher. Topher thought I lived in New York City. So when we were introduced, he was like, hey, can I send you for a few, go-sees? They called them go-sees. And basically where you go see like the person that books you for particular companies or jobs. And he's like, are you available for a go-see tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, sure. I got my car. I started driving. On the drive, I called my friend Tugger, who lived in New York City. Thank God he was willing to let me stay on his couch. I showed up with a lot of enthusiasm, took the photos that I needed, really tried to like make a good first impression that like maybe, hey, this guy would be like a good person to work with, because I knew how valuable that was on set for those smaller shoots that I did in Pittsburgh. Good news is the next day, Topher was like, look, yeah, they want to book you. And I think I can get you a fair amount of work. There we go. Look. Sizzle and chisel. That's me. That's me right here. Doing a movement that I never do, which is a very light dumbbell Turkish getup. And then looks like a bunch of different exercises here. And a bunch of different things here. Oh. There we go. That's me. Sizzle and chisel. Phase 2. Same deal. Strong and lean in 90 days. Oh, there's me. Yeah. Happen to be the same photos before. These are called editorial shoots. And the thing about editorial shoots is that they don't pay very much. Like very little, actually. Like the bare minimum. I want to say like $300 to like $800, like not much money. And the reason for this is like Men's Health and these magazines, they know how valuable it is to be in their magazines. And even though like the editorial stuff doesn't pay very well, like this type of advertisement, or like, like this type of ad pays a ton, like hundreds of thousands of dollars for like one job. If you're in there, it makes it a lot more, it gives you a lot more credibility to potentially be booked for one of the jobs that pays like a ton. So it's really valuable to be in Men's Health, because you're seen as a professional. And when you're seen as a professional, people want to book you. So he gave me a contract. He sent me a contract. It was like for 3 years, and it gave him the rights to like take a hefty percentage of everything that I made, and also like charge me for things like this. This is called a portfolio. And Portfolio used to be like your calling card before you had Instagram. It's
Another magazine. Another magazine. Another magazine.
Signed this contract with Topher, and I was off to the races. And by off to the races, I mean, I called my buddy Tugger and said, hey, man, I'm going to have to stay on the couch a few more days before I figure this all out. And, you know, stuck around, slept on the couch, went out. The next day, went to Men's Health and kind of met their top booking guy, like the person who booked everything for their magazines. And we hit it off. We had a great intro, and he booked me a couple of jobs right from then and there. And I like got the sense like, you know, they always are happy to have like new faces in their magazine. I didn't really understand why, but like it makes a lot more sense now. I'll get to that toward the end of the video. Went to the job, you know, got paid like very little. It was like $300-500 or whatever, but like I made a great impression. I think I did a good job getting everybody what they needed, making the set feel like a fun place to be, bringing a lot of enthusiasm. And I got the sense that everybody was like pretty happy that I was the model and that I was there. So it turns out that that's like a pretty big deal. Photographers and, you know, the stylists and the people that work on the set, like they're doing this day in, day out. They really don't want to hate their job. So like when people are around that are fairly cool, easy to work with, don't keep them there all night. Got to get home. There was one more like really important factor here, and it was reliability and consistency. Like, because sometimes they needed a model like really short notice with like very little prep, sometimes like the same day. And the more reliable that you could be, and the more that they knew that they could call on you in emergency and that you would be ready to shoot, was a huge deal. And as awesome as Tugger was, I mean, he was like my best friend. As awesome as he was, I was definitely wearing out my welcome, and it was time for me to find my own place. So my top priority was get a place as close to Men's Health's offices as possible. I found a place, and I had made just enough money to put down the security deposit on the apartment and get moved in. Secured an apartment. It was right next to Men's Health offices. And I ended up probably doing a shoot for some small work, some bigger work, but basically whatever work that they needed, probably every week for about 5 years. I haven't done a shoot for Men's Health probably 9 or 10 years, but like I'll still see photos from shoots that I did, you know, back in 2011, still being used in some special issue of Men's Health, the Men's Health 6-pack abs edition. I was always thinking like, man, today they could hit me up and they need me for like a cover, which I was never on, by the way. 100 issues, I was never on the cover. I even did a shoot for the cover, and then they swapped me out because like a celebrity, I think it was Ryan Reynolds or some shit, was available. And of course, he's gonna sell more magazines than me. What this taught me, that it still helps me today, is to always be prepared, because you don't know when the opportunity is gonna like be available for you for whatever. So, you know, I had to like generally stay in shape. I every day I had to think like, man, today could be the day that they asked me to do a cover shoot, and like I have to like have my abs the best. I have to look good enough with my shirt off that I merit being able to be booked again, and then I can do a good job. Body composition aside, I really have like been able to carry forth this mental attitude of being prepared, because opportunities will present themselves, and if you're ready to receive them, you'll be able to capitalize on them. And all it takes is one opportunity to absolutely change your life. That's been the story of how
I appeared in over 100 issues of Men's Health. And if you go by Whole Foods or a grocery store or, any place where you actually see physical magazines anymore, check out the Men's Health. I bet you'll see me somewhere. It'll probably be small, maybe an exercise demo somewhere, but I think there's still pretty good odds that I'll be in there. So I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, you'll want to check this one out. I'll see you there.